What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com. Welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. We're back for another week. It's going to be a very exciting week. The 100-point prep races are here with the Louisiana Derby and the Jeff Ruby Stakes. But before we get to that, we got to talk about the Virginia Derby and what happened last week. So we'll talk about that right now. I'll put it up on the screen for you. Virginia Derby, and it was won by Incredibolt to bounce back in a big way. Incredibolt gets the job done for the victory. He's in the Kentucky Derby. The second place finisher, Grittiness, he's got 36 points. He's number 10 on the list right now. Like I just mentioned, 100-point preps are here. That is going to knock a lot of people down the list a little bit. 36 might get you in, though. It probably will. So maybe the top two finishers here are going to make it. You also, maybe they run again, too, talking about Incredibolt, Grittiness, Confessional Butane, any of these horses, really. They could make one more start. It'd be a quick turnaround, but it is possible that that could happen. So we'll kind of see how that goes. As far as the winner goes, Incredibolt, I was happy to see him bounce back because I think we all knew, and we talked about it throughout the week, right? Look, the Holy Bull was not him. Like that was just an effort that can't be explained other than, hey, he just didn't want to run that day, didn't like the track, whatever, right? We knew he was faster than that. I was skeptical of how fast he ultimately was. That's why I had him in third in this race. And look, I thought he really ran well. I mean, he gets an 88 buyer speed figure for the effort. He's not going to crack John Wyatt or I's top 10, top 5. Top 10, though, I think I could make a case that he's in the top 10, maybe at like 9 or 10. I think he's at least got himself back in the ball game. That's what I text a friend of mine and after the race. I said, look, he's back in the game now, at least, and like I said, you knew he wasn't as bad as what he ran in the Holy Bull, and he showed it. He ran very well in this race. And so, look, I think he is one. It's kind of an awkward situation now because I think he'll just train up to the Kentucky Derby, right? And so that's going to be what he'll do. I don't think they'll wheel him back really quickly. They could run him in a race like the Lexington, the second weekend in April. But from a timing standpoint, especially with kind of the new age of training, he's in a weird spot now. Lexington could be good for him though. If he tries that, maybe he will. So we'll see what happens with him. But again, I think he's on the fringe of like the top 10, but again, not a top 5 for me, but was happy to see him bounce back. Grittiness is a horse that is still a maiden. And it's kind of funny because we talked about blinkers off. Will there be a day where, a maiden might win the Kentucky Derby? And Grittiness is a maiden who's probably going to be in it. I could see him running one more time like the Wood Memorial. Maybe he could do that. Maybe he could go and try to run in the Lexington. I really have no idea. But look, he's not very, very fast early. He's going to close and get a piece of things if they're slow enough in front of him. That's kind of who he is. He ran his race and he was able to get second in this one, which is probably going to get him in the Derby. And Confessional, who finished third, look, he's a horse that I think mentally he struggles a lot. In this race, he looked like he was fading and not going to run. And then he got going again late and was able to get third and almost got second. But again, some of these other horses, they're just not quite good enough. Confessional being one of them. Butane, just average. He did get a tough trip. I think he could have ran a little better, but still, I think we knew he was kind of just an average to a little bit above average coming into the race. Lock, Stock, and Farrell looked like he had the job done, or at least had the race in his grasps and faded after setting the pace, but looked good for a long time. And then kind of some of the also rans after that. One big shock, at least for me, was High Camp. Not shocked that he lost, but dead last. Very surprising. He kind of got shuffled back, and then he kind of made a middle move, and then he just stopped. So I'm not sure what happened to him, but not a good effort there. But like I said, moving forward, good to see Incredibolt in the race. He did bounce back. But again, nothing to get overly excited about as far as, hey, can this horse win the Kentucky Derby after this effort? Gonna have to get a little bit better, but has time to do so. We'll see how he progresses moving forward. All right, let's go to the top 5s now. Brand new top 5s for you here. And I say brand new, but they are pretty much the same. I've got number 5 Renegade at number 5 once again here. I think with Renegade and nearly both, it's kind of frustrating because you almost forget about them in a way. They just haven't they have not been seen in quite some time. So he ran in the Sam F. Davis, talking about Renegade, and then let's talk about number 4, Nearly, who ran in the Holy Bull. Both of them won. Both of them very impressive. They skipped the middle round. They're going to go right to that last round of prep races. Renegade, it sounds like Arkansas Derby, Nearly going to the Florida Derby, both being contested on March 28th. So we'll see what happens there with these two horses. But they're ones that, if they, for whatever reason, whether it's maybe they get really bad racing luck or they just don't run well on those days, they're out. Basically, they don't have the points really, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. Of course, they run top 3; they'll be in easily. But just something to keep an eye on there with Renegade and Nearly. Paladin, a horse that also skipped the middle round there. Well, I guess he skipped the first round. He did run in the middle round of the Risen Star and won it and looked pretty good doing it. And he's going to run in the Bluegrass next. So we'll wait for Paladin to come back. Obviously, he is a Kentucky Derby favorite right now in a lot of the future pools. So, we'll just see how he improves. We've seen Chad Brown improve horses in that Bluegrass after running in the Risen Star. Paladin has the look that he could do it. And then finally, number 2, Commandment, and number 1, Chief Wallaby. I'll mention them together because they ran in the same race. That was the Fountain of Youth. And, now I've referenced the middle round of preps a lot, and now they're over. Now we get the last round, and trust me, this year more than any, the last round could really change a lot of things. But, they always can. I mean, going down from a mile 16th to a mile 1/8, usually. I know Fairgrounds kind of does a little bit different. They're going to go a mile and 3/16. They already went a mile and 1/8, but still, the point is valid that most of these horses will stretch out to a mile and 1/8 for the first time. That's a big separator. But I thought the Fountain of Youth, as far as the middle round of preps go, I thought it was just a cut above everything else, and that's why I've got Commandment and Chief Wallaby at number 2 and number 1. John White, he's got Renegade at number 5. And again, waiting for the Arkansas Derby. It'd be interesting. He's going to match up with Silent Tactic if he goes to the Arkansas Derby. Litmus Test is going to be there as well. I would imagine Blackout Time will be there as well. 2 horses there that might get a little bit better after their last start. So that'll be an interesting race and a good test for Renegade. Paladin, number 4 for John, waiting for the Bluegrass, like I say, to get our final determination on him. John has Nearly at number 3. John naturally has been a little bit higher on Nearly than I have pretty much the whole time. We both have had him in the top 5. Seems like he's had him a notch or 2 higher, and that's okay. I think that's going to be very interesting when he matches up with Commandment at number 2 for John and Chief Wallaby at number 1. So just real quick, Nearly at 3, Commandment at 2, Chief Wallaby at 1. All 3 of the sources projected to run next in the Florida Derby. So how much are we going to learn out of the Florida Derby? Quite a bit. Let's be honest. That's going to be one hell of a race. All right, let's get to John White's comments this week. Always nice enough to send us some commentary with his top 5. John says, back when Incredibolt won the Street Sense Stakes at Churchill Downs last year, many looked at him as a very early Kentucky Derby candidate, but Incredibolt's first race this year was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Incredibolt was beaten by 25 1/4 lengths in the Holy Bull Stakes, which was won by Nearly, and again, Nearly number 3 on his list. John goes on to say, well, Incredibolt rebounded from his Holy Bull debacle to win Saturday's Virginia Derby by an emphatic 4 lengths. Yes, Incredibolt did look good Saturday, but he's not on my Kentucky Derby top 5 this week. In fact, my top 5 for this week stays the same as last week. And now this week we turn our attention to the Louisiana Derby and the Jeff Ruby Stakes to be run on Saturday. I can already tell you who I am picking in both of these races to win. I'll pause for a minute. If you want John White's full card picks for the Jeff Ruby Stakes and the Louisiana Derby, buy the Racing Dudes betting Bible. We're going to have a betting Bible for the Jeff Ruby and for the Louisiana Derby. First time we've ever done it on 2 in a row, or 2 in the same week, I should say. And we can do that because the new system is awesome that we use. There'll be a video out on the new betting Bible, how to use it, where to access it, things like that as well. All right. Anyway, shameless plug. Let's back to John here. He said he could already tell us who he's picking to win these 2 races. He said, in the Louisiana Derby, I like Emerging Market, who is listed at 6-1 on the morning line. I would love to get 6-1, but I think Emerging Market will end up being lower than 6-1 at post time. I happen to agree with John White there. Another shameless plug here as I ruin John's comments. There will be a full preview out of the Louisiana Derby. Let's see if I agree with John's top pick of Emerging Market. And then finally, John goes on to say he likes, as for the Jeff Ruby Stakes, I'm going with the California Shipper Stark Contrast. And of course, there will be a preview out for that race as well, the Jeff Ruby Stakes, here later this evening / tomorrow morning. All right. Okay, let's go now to what's coming up, and let's talk about those two races a little bit. Like I said, a full preview coming out, but here's the Louisiana Derby. It is a field of 9. Pavlovian, Autobahn, Chip Honcho, Universe, Golden Tempo, Spirit of Royal, Blacksmith, Easterly, and Emerging Market. Going to be very interesting to see if Emerging Market, with just that one start, can show up here and win this race. Of course, Power Shift, the horse that he beat, did not run well in the Tampa Bay Derby. He also didn't get the greatest trip. So, I'm not totally holding that against Emerging Market and saying, well, maybe that race was overrated, but there is definitely a possibility it was after you watch what Power Shift did. However, he's still very interesting in here. I agree with John. What about these local horses? Can Chip Honcho, who's going to run in all 4 of the local Kentucky Derby prep races at Fairgrounds, can he do it? Can he get the job done here? He won the Gun Runner. He was 4th in the LeCompte. He was 2nd in the Risen Star. Can he get 1st in the Louisiana Derby? What about Golden Tempo? He was able to win the LeCompte. He was a distant 3rd in the Risen Star. Can he kind of somehow sit a better trip, or maybe it just sets up a little better for him? Pavlovian shipping in after winning the Sunland Derby. I think he's interesting. Autobahn, a horse that was a nice blowout winner last time out at Gulfstream Park. Universe, can he bounce back? He's kind of, he's running a little bit better. That last race was a little better than his first one of the year. And then Blacksmith coming in for Bob Baffert. You don't see Baffert ship a lot to Fairgrounds, but he does every now and then. We'll see if Blacksmith can show up for Baffert and get it done. This is an interesting race. It doesn't feel like just a star-studded, loaded group, but it's still a very interesting race, and I would not be shocked if something decent comes out of it. The Jeff Ruby, well, this is a hell of a lot of fun. I'm not sure if we've got any Derby like what would be the best way to put it? I don't think we have like a maybe Derby contenders in here. I only say that because, man, it's a lot of turf horses. A lot of horses that look really good on the turf at times. Those California shippers, Mercedes with the 6, and then stark contrast, the 11. Brad Cox has got full effort in here, who's finished 2nd in both the local kind of prep races leading up to this one at Turfway Park. Black Hornet comes in after 2 really nice wins. It made in special weights down at Fairgrounds. Chaos Agent coming off of 1 big synthetic race at Gulfstream Park. It is, you could just go everywhere here. It's all over the place. So a really, really interesting field here to the Jeff Ruby. And again, I watched this race for more of the, let's see what happens here. Let's try to catch the winner and get a price, cash a nice ticket. I would kind of be surprised if we get a big Kentucky Derby contender in this one. I wouldn't be shocked, but I would kind of be surprised. But look, it's going to be a really fun race, and what a handicapping puzzle. I mean, this thing is wide open. A lot like the Battaglia was just a few weeks ago here at Turfway Park. That was a very wide open race. This one looks to be more of the same. All right, guys, that'll do it for the update this week. We're coming up on the big ones. Like I said, next week we'll recap the 2 races we just talked about. We'll see if there's changes in John and I's top 5. I think there could be. And then we'll look ahead to the Florida Derby, as well as the Arkansas Derby, the UAE Derby, also March 28th. I guess that's still going to happen, a little skeptical, but I guess that's still going to happen with everything going on over there. And just a big next 3 weeks as we get going. So this is what it's all been leading up to. We've been recording these since the Breeders' Cup ended back in November. And this is kind of the big 3 weekends we were all getting prepared for. So it's going to be quite exciting to see it happen. All right, guys, that'll do for this Kentucky Derby update. Hit the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, come back next week for another Kentucky Derby update.